Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have got a lot of hockey to dissect and dive into in the next hour or so. The conference finals are set. Dallas, Edmonton in the West, and Carolina and Florida have dropped the puck in the East. Four very familiar teams. We've seen a lot of them the last couple of years. Is this a good thing for the NHL, that we've got some familiarity? Or do we need to shake things up and have some new teams making it into the mix? We will discuss that. We'll also ask, what's next for the four teams that lost in the second round, in the divisional final round, as I'm calling it? They all won the divisions in the regular season, but couldn't get past the second round. What do those teams need to do in this offseason to make sure that they can advance? And then the Walter Cup final is also underway tonight. Minnesota and Ottawa. Minnesota going for a repeat. Ottawa trying to bring the cup north. We'll look at that series as well. All that plus more coming up right here, right now in the neutral zone. So chase that puck, get it in deep. Be sure to not get checked in the boards and protect that 5-hole. Let's go, everybody. This is the neutral zone. Hello and good evening, everyone. Once again, I am your host, Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis is going to be along with us here in just a little bit. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. We break down everything happening in the world of hockey, whether it's the big stuff or the little stuff. We love to talk about it. Lots of big stuff on the docket tonight. We are down to the conference finals. We are down to the final four in the NHL. We've got one series that has dropped the puck already. The other will be dropping the puck tomorrow night. So we will be looking at both of those series, giving you some previews, some updates, who we think will be advancing on to play for Lord Stanley's Cup starting here in just a couple of weeks. We also want to look at the four teams that got knocked out in the divisional final round. They were the regular season division winners. What'll be next for those teams? What might they be able to do in the offseason to try to increase their odds, increase their chances at winning, at getting back and advancing here in the next round? And then also the Walter Cup final is getting underway here tonight as well. In the PWHL, we've got the Minnesota Frost trying to become the first ever back-to-back champions in PWHL history, winning the first two titles. And we've got the Ottawa Charge trying to win their first title and bring a major hockey tournament championship home to Canada. So we'll be previewing that as well. All that, plus we'll see whatever else hockey news is fit to talk about here on the show tonight. This is the Neutral Zone, but first, a quick word from our sponsors, and then we will dive right in. Do not go anywhere.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Want to once again say thank you to each and every one of our sponsors here at the station. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet, Vital Apparel, and of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Thank you to each and every one of them for sponsoring not just this show, but all of the shows at IE Sports Radio. You heard how to follow along with IE Sports Radio there. Be sure to follow on all the major social media platforms at IE Sports Radio, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. When you do, just drop a comment that you are here because of the neutral zone. Gives us a little feather in our cap, lets you know what you're liking, what you're enjoying out of the station. You can also follow along with this show. We are available for you as well on social media. We are out on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. I was actually just tweeting out some fresh stuff during the break there. You can also follow with me personally. I am at Adam_Kernick, and Zach, when he will be along with us here in a little bit, you can follow him as well. He is at The Pupless on Twitter. Lot to go on the show tonight, but we always like to start things off with the scores. Only 2 games going on tonight, but they are, of course, massively important games as we're down to, late May at this point. So obviously what's going on is very important. In the NHL, just the one game, game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final going on. They are just about set to drop the puck on the second period. Florida currently on top 2-1. Panthers got out to a 2-0 lead. Carter Verhaeghe converted on the power play, and Aaron Ekblad got the second goal for the Panthers, his third of the playoffs. But then Sebastian Aho, right before the end of the period, cut the lead in half with a goal that bounced off of his heel and then went past Bobrovsky and in. I commented on Twitter, that was dangerously close to the distinctive kicking motion that you always hear the officials discuss when they're looking at a goal. But ultimately, it was ruled a good goal. And so the Hurricanes able to cut the deficit in half heading into the second period. Hurricanes outshot Florida in the first period 10-7, but Bobrovsky nine stops there, whereas for Carolina only 5 stops in net on the first period in the first period there. So a little bit rough of a start for Freddie Anderson. We've also had, as we mentioned, Verhaeghe converted on the power play. That was the one opportunity for the Panthers. The Hurricanes, they had themselves a power play opportunity, but could not convert. So Florida off to the quick start here in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. Over in the PWHL, they have their final is going on. The Walter Cup final is going on right now between Minnesota and Ottawa. They are in the third period already with 13 and a half minutes remaining in regulation, and they are tied at 1 apiece. Ottawa scored the first goal in the second period. Rebecca Leslie, her second goal of the postseason for the Ottawa Charge. But then Klara Himilorova got her first goal of the postseason with about 5.5 minutes into the third period to tie things up. So we are all tied at 1 in the PWHL. We'll keep you updated on both of those games throughout the evening. But we also wanted to go ahead and preview everything that's going on all throughout the hockey world as well tonight. And we'll start things off with the Eastern Conference Final, since that's what's going on. They're in the midst of game 1 right now. We figured we'll start there and give you a little bit of a preview, and we'll do some predictions going on over in the Eastern Conference. So we've got Carolina and Florida, as we mentioned, going on in game 1 right now there in the Eastern Conference. This is a repeat of a couple seasons ago, so not the freshest, but also not a completely stale matchup. As, hey, look, who do I see getting himself set up over there? I do believe that it is one Zach Pupless. How are we doing, Zach?
I'm good. How are you? Sorry.
Doing all right. Yes, you gotta unmute the mic there. And I see you've got yourself all newly christened there, the Stanley Cup Frozen 4 fan. Very nice, very nice. So, well, we were just getting ready to kind of preview the Frozen 4 right now at this point. We'll start things off in the East, since that's where we're playing hockey right now. They just are getting underway in the second period, 2-1 Florida. What are your thoughts kind of getting into this series? We've got Carolina and Florida, not exactly a stale matchup, but they did meet up in this exact same spot a couple seasons ago. Florida got the better of Carolina in that matchup. Will it be Carolina's turn this go around, do you think, or is Florida bound for the Stanley Cup final for a third consecutive season? Oh, and Zach was getting his ears in, so I don't know if he heard me there with my question.
Sorry, what was your question?
Who do you see coming out of this one? Do you see Carolina winning this, or is this going to be Florida making it back?
I'm all for fresh blood, so I want Carolina, but realistically, with the experience they have behind them, I think it's going to be Florida. This is their third consecutive trip to the Eastern Conference Final. If they win, it'd be the third consecutive trip to the Stanley Cup. Going 1-1, and this would be the rubber match. So we'll see what happens. If it happens to be Edmonton again, that's holy crap! I forgot how wild the travel was last year.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We've got that to potentially look forward to again. We'll hold on to some of that thought there, because into that I do want to talk to you and kind of debate back and forth a little bit there. So you think that ultimately it's going to be Florida advancing?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pulling for Carolina in this one. Sebastian Aho. He scored the one goal for Carolina tonight. Freddie Anderson, if he can get steady. Now, he had a rough first period there, gave up 2 goals on just 7 shots. So kind of a rough first period there for Carolina. We always talk about how styles make fights, and the styles between these two teams are always so interesting because Carolina is such a heavy puck possession team. We've talked for years how Carolina is always a team that their version of playing defense is to just play some more offense, that they just live in their offensive zone and they live in front of your goalie for the entire game. Meanwhile, Florida is a team that is just punishing. They will constantly wear you down. If you hold the puck, they will flock to you. They will make their way over to you, and they will make you pay for holding on to the puck too long. So it's a really interesting style that we've gotten to see now a couple of times. Florida got the better of it 2 years ago. I like Carolina. Call me a contrarian. Call me grasping at straws. I predicted Toronto in the last round. Silly me. We'll have to have a discussion about that later on in this show too. We'll have to discuss my problems here later on. But I like Carolina. I some of it's to have a fresh blood, to not have a rematch. We'll get into this a little bit. All 4 of these teams are no strangers to the conference final, so we'll get into that a little bit more too. And then we've got over in the West, we've got Dallas and Edmonton. Now this is an exact rematch from a season ago where Edmonton it was a long series, but Edmonton got the job done, punched their ticket from the Western Conference into the Stanley Cup final. McDavid and company couldn't get it done at that point, falling to Florida, but they were able to get past Ottinger. They were able to get past Hintz. They were able to get past some of those guys. How do you see this series playing out? What are you looking for in the Western Conference final?
Well, to just wrap up your last point, hey, your pick of Toronto was no worse than my all chalk pick of Washington and Winnipeg.
There's that.
Yeah, and hey, Toronto's made progress. Their arch nemesis is no longer the first round; it's the second round.
Oh yeah, there's I suppose that's a progress. I suppose.
Right. that Mays meme has said it best. Here's Toronto. Here's the third round, and all of these are dead ends.
Yes. There's no actual path to the conference final for Toronto. It's it's all a hoax.
Yeah, exactly. It's all smoke and mirrors. No, I expect this one to be another tight matchup, possibly going 6 or 7 games. Mikko Rantanen's been on fire for Dallas this whole playoff run, since going from Colorado, and then he had a mid stop. Was it Carolina?
He went through a team, yes, but
it was real quick. It was like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
And then to Dallas. So they've got some new faces there, but Edmonton's still got McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and all the heavy hitters there. So should be good matchup. Go ahead.
And Edmonton's getting healthy too, getting into this Western Conference final. They're getting some of their depth pieces back. And that can make a huge difference in this series.
Oh yeah. I think that's what probably did them in last year. It was all the injuries that led up all that they had in the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
That was some of it, and just could not get over the final hump with Florida. Just kept getting beaten into a wall, and it just won too many times. Won too many times there with that.
Yeah, but no, I expect a competitive series, and I'm going to pick Edmonton on this one, just so we can still have the hope alive of your Canadian prediction, all Canadian Stanley.
Yeah, they're my only.
Well, at least, yeah.
Help me, Connor McDavid. You're my only
half the way, anyways.
Yeah, help me, Connor McDavid. You're my only hope at this point. I'm stuck leaning on McDavid and Draisaitl and. Oh gosh, do I have to really hope that Skinner can stop some? No, I'm doomed. I'm doomed if I'm relying on Skinner in net. That's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I love the way they put it on NHL Network Radio. The one dude he keeps calling them. It's almost like a president ticket, the way he keeps calling it. Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
You're getting a little choppy, but yes.
Yeah, he'll do it with every team, like the 2 best players, the McDavid, Draisaitl administration, or the Matthews and Marner administration. And
Yep. Well, in this case, it's the law firm of McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and everybody else there, Nugent Hopkins, everybody else there for Edmonton. I'll stick with Edmonton. I'll stick with Edmonton as well in this series. We'll see if our hope for the cup to go north for the first time in 30 some odd years finally comes to a close. The
majority of our lives.
Right, exactly. It's been a while since the Stanley Cup has gone up north and stayed up north for any length of time there. But they should be very entertaining, very good series upcoming. Absolutely, that we get treated to here in the conference finals. Now, one thought before we turn the page here on these. And we will be turning the page and talking about the teams that didn't advance into the conference finals. These are 4 teams that we've brought it up a couple of times. They know each other. Dallas, Edmonton, this is an exact rematch of a season ago. Carolina, Florida, all right, it's not a rematch from last year, but it's a rematch from 2 years ago. And none of these teams won their division. These are all second, third place teams in their respective divisions. Is this sense of familiarity, do you think that's good for hockey, or would it be better if we were playing, say, Winnipeg and who did Edmonton Who did Edmonton beat?
Vegas?
Would we be better with something like a Winnipeg Vegas matchup and maybe a Washington and Toronto matchup? Would that be better, you think, or is the fact that we're familiar here with each other, does that make for a better and more compelling drama?
I'm okay with it being a familiar matchup here from years past. It's not necessarily like division. It's like, Chicago and Detroit were such rivals at one point, being in the same division and everything. It's not like that where it might be overdone, or both, New York teams or something. So they don't play each other all the time. So I feel like you get some kind of variety there at least, even if they have played in playoff series in the past years.
Yeah, I was struck by something that I heard on the radio. It was in relation to basketball, not to the NBA conference finals, not necessarily the Stanley Cup conference finals, but I think the argument is relevant and can remain the same. For more casual fans, having teams that have been here relatively recently does breed some familiarity, where it's, oh, hey, Edmonton. Oh, yeah, I remember them from last year. Oh, yeah, Florida. I remember these guys from last year. That's right. Okay, yeah, these guys were good a year ago. Okay, yeah, this is worth tuning in. Oh, Dallas. Oh, yeah, I remember Edmonton beat them last year. As opposed to if it winds up being, let's just go crazy. Let's say it was St. Louis and Minnesota. It would be, who are these? I've never. Click. Never mind. I'm turning it off. So I think there can be a bit of an advantage for the more casual viewers to have kind of some safety there in some familiarity. It's worth exploring deeper. But it was an interesting conversation. It was an interesting thought that I heard. That I was like, and we're just going to scratch that away for mark that down for further development and discussion.
Yeah, no, I get you. Had it been Minnesota, St. Louis, for instance, though, I think that might have appealed to the more hardcore hockey fan, because they're going to realize, oh, these guys are in the same division. Oh, they play X number of time a year. Like,
oh yeah, you definitely, yeah, you do frustrate some of the hardcores perhaps by, oh God, here we go again. Oh, come on. Can we mix this up? Get some fresh blood in here, please. Unless you're a fan of one of the teams, obviously.
Yeah. Well, okay, so flip that, go back to the NBA again, and that was my take on it. Like, with their Final Four, that, oh my gosh, we actually have some fresh blood in here for once, or teams that haven't won it in decades. And so it's not your usual, the Lakers or the Warriors or the Celtics. It's like, oh, what, Pacers and Knicks and Timberwolves and like another one, OKC. Like, OKC hasn't been good in probably 15 years, like since KD was there. Like, so I'm excited about on that, to flip the coin to that side of things. I'm excited because it's all new blood. Like, oh, okay, cool. I might actually watch this one.
Yeah, exactly. There's definite advantage. There's advantage and disadvantage to both, absolutely. But it's a fun discussion. It's a fun argument to go back and forth with. Well, with us making it to the Final Four. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, just real quick. You mentioned all the four division winners all lost prior to this round. And that makes me think of the way college football ended last year, with all four of the teams that got the byes in the 12-team playoff all lost. So is there something they need to change in how they structure things? I mean, this almost plays into what we talked about the other day with, is there a bigger curse surrounding the President's Cup versus the Prince of Wales Trophy or the Campbell Trophy?
That actually is a beautiful and perfect segment, because I was just about to say getting to the Final Four means we just had 4 teams eliminated. And in fact, they were all 4 of the division winners. We had never seen that before, that all 4 division winners got knocked out in the same round. So what is next for those 4 teams? What do they have to do? Let's talk about that on the flip side of this break. You are tuned into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Are you a Tar Heel, Blue Devil, Demon Deacon, or maybe even a Gamecock? Do you cheer for the Panthers, the Canes, the Crown? And check out the Carolina Sports Update every week with me, Neil Curtis, to get the latest and greatest on all the sports action in the Carolinas. We'll be talking pro sports, ACC and SEC football, basketball, baseball, and everything in between. We'll even talk a little Formula One racing now and again. So, for the best hour of Carolina sports coverage, catch me each week on Carolina Sports Update with Neil Curtis, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. Adam and Zach back with you. So we teased it right before that break that obviously being in the conference finals means we have 4 teams that just got knocked out of the playoffs, and this is incredibly unique. This is not just unique to hockey. This is reportedly unique across North American sports between NHL, MLB, NFL, MLS, NBA, you name it, that all the division winners got knocked out in the same round of the playoffs. So we had talked a little bit privately back and forth about, the disadvantage of winning the President's Trophy versus, the Campbell Cup or the Prince of Wales or anything like that. Well, this is just, miserable bad luck for winning your division, apparently. You would think winning your division would give you, an advantage, and usually it does, but all 4 division winners get knocked out in the same round. So let's talk about these 4 teams, and let's try to figure out where do you go from here, and what should you do from here. We won't necessarily consider this like an end of year a preview or anything like that, or an off-season preview or anything like that. Let's start off with the President's Trophy winners, the Winnipeg Jets. They needed 7 games to advance out of the first round. They were up 2-0 in the second round, and it looked like they were ready to go on a bit of a run. Or excuse me, they weren't up 2-0, but they got themselves back into a series against Dallas before getting knocked out in a terrific Game 7 against Dallas, one that went to overtime, one that my daughter somehow managed to convince me to stay up and watch with me. Not that it was bad that I was staying up, but what the heck is my 7-year-old daughter doing up at 11 o'clock at night watching a hockey game with Dad? Man, you talk about, does that count as a parenting fail, or is that a parenting success? Letting your 7-year-old stay up. That was a Saturday. But where does that fail on the parenting scale there?
At least it wasn't a school night.
No.
And when you're older, or when she's older, she'll look back on it, and you will too, with fond memories. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. You're trying to make me feel better about this. Oh my gosh. Bad. I genuinely, I expected her to fall asleep lying on the floor there, and she stayed awake, alert the whole time for the game. And then it was, Daddy, can I stay up? All right, it's overtime. Yeah, you can stay up and watch with me, but the second that puck goes into the net, you are off to bed.
Off to bed.
Off to bed. Go.
Well, I guess the next question is, how early did you have to get to church the next day?
We did the virtual church thing the next day. We watched from home in our pajamas.
That's fair. Yeah.
So yeah, we yeah. So back to the Jets.
Yeah. So the previous game, I was excited because they won like 4-0. I was like, okay, here we go, getting this back on track. They're gonna do it. It might take 6 or 7. Well, I guess 7 at that point, but they staved off elimination. Come on, just got to do it 2 more times. Like, and for a game 6, I mean, if this was their last gasp, then I mean, they gave it their all. The thing was tied, went into overtime. Dallas finally pulled it out. So, I mean, other than that being game 7, I mean, there's really not much more you could ask for. And Hellebuck's been so great. He's got some duds here.
Excuse
here
me,
and there,
that one was game 6. I misspoke too and threw that off. That was the 6-game set. It was the other one that went 7.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was game 6. So Dallas won the series 4-2. But other than the series going to 7 games, I mean, there's not much else you could have asked for. I mean, they had it tied. They went into overtime, and they happened to lose in overtime. Anything could happen in overtime. So,
yeah.
As Buffalo Wild Wings used to tell us.
Peter DeBoer managed to get over his game 6 hump temporarily, for this year. Yeah, that did you see that stat? That wild of he's unbeaten in game 7, but in game 6, oh man, does he struggle?
Yeah.
Oh
that's
man,
wild. Yeah, and that's not just with Dallas, right? That's with the Golden
overall.
Knights even.
Yeah,
wow.
That's overall. Yeah.
But, well, I guess he goes back to the Sharks days even too.
Mm-hmm.
He was the Sharks coach before the Vegas coach.
Yeah, when the Sharks actually made the playoffs occasionally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they had the second year of Dallas's. No, not Dallas. Second year of Vegas's tenure. They had that really controversial hit against the Sharks, and it probably wasn't actually a major, but they counted it as a major, and that allowed the Sharks to pull off the win in that series, and they moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that was still Peter DeBoer's tenure.
So, for the Jets, where do you go from here? And they got some offense this year. They got some goals going. Connor Hellebuck, of course, was amazing all throughout the regular season, but in the playoffs, once again, Hellebuck really struggled. Now, game 6, he was excellent in game 6. He and Ottinger both were. He had the shutout in game 5, in game 6, oh my goodness, Hellebuck was not the reason the Jets lost in game 6. He played really well. Ottinger just had a couple more saves, and the fact that they had to go on the penalty kill at the end of regulation and in overtime, that really hurt. They never even possessed the puck in overtime because Dallas won it, was on the power play, and that was that. So what do you do if you're the Jets? How do you try to rebuild this? What's next for the Winnipeg Jets?
Oh man. Yeah, like you said, he's really strong during the regular season, but then he gets to the playoffs and he kind of flickers out a little bit. So maybe need some competition for him. Like, occasionally he's got a dud here and there, but other than that, he's been stellar, like you said, during the regular season. And maybe bring in some more offense too. I mean, I can think of Shifley. I'm blanking on anybody else right now. Like,
Yeah. Shout out to Mark Shifley too. Kudos to him and thoughts and prayers to his entire family. Oh my goodness, to be going through the, to find out day of, and then to go through that, and shout out to Mark Shifley. Oh my goodness, you could kind of see the emotional release from him at the end of the game too. It was not the way he wanted that game to end by any means, but then the support that he got from everybody after that. Dallas players, Dallas fans, Winnipeg Jet players, Jet fans, everybody there. That was shout out to Mark Shifley. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine. I can't judge one way or the other if it was the right decision for him to make. Just wow. Shout out to him.
They talked about it on the radio, and they said that, the whole world would have understood had you wanted to not play today. Like, we get it. But they had interviewed him, and he said, this is what my dad would have wanted me to do, is to go play this game. And you're absolutely right with the outpour of support for him. They had all the Dallas players giving him hugs and words of encouragement, etc. They're throughout the handshake line.
Yeah, and the Dallas Stars fans too. Everybody, all the Stars fans donating $55 to his charity because that's his jersey number in support of him. And hockey fans are the best. Hockey fans are unquestionably, undoubtedly the best, and that was such a cool moment.
Definitely.
So you made an interesting point there when you were talking about Hellebuck. My first thought for the Jets was try to get some more offense, try to take some pressure off of Hellebuck that way. But you brought up an interesting thing there. It made me think. Do you bring in a more experienced backup, not necessarily to take Hellebuck's spot in the postseason?
Sure.
But what if you had a little bit better backup so that you could spell Hellebuck a little bit more in the regular season? Hellebuck played in 63 games in the regular season this past year.
Which is what, 82, 85? What's the regular season total?
82 is the regular season. Eric Comrie appeared in 20 games. So they had one game where both of them appeared. What if and it's not like Comrie played poorly. His one-loss record obviously wasn't great. And as I'm looking at is just very bare bones numbers here. We're talking he gave up 47 goals on 547 shots. That's a .914 save percentage. You'll take that. That'll play. That's not terrible. He had a goals against average of 2.39. His record was 9-10-1. Yeah, that's the record. Well, there's only so much you can do about that. That's not necessarily a direct reflection of him. The rest of the numbers would indicate a better record than 9-10-1. But what if you brought in a better netminder to be Hellebuck's backup so that Hellebuck only needs to maybe start 55 games in the regular season? and then he's more fresh in the postseason. Does that make sense for Winnipeg?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, you got to figure out. It's almost like the Cowboys, like, oh, they're so good in the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs and they wet the bed, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. So you got to figure out why. Like, why is that happening? What can we do to fix it? Like, you know, it's Jekyll and Hyde. You got to make sure he doesn't become the other, you know. Like, and so, yeah, figure out why he's so good in the regular season and why he has postseason struggles, and if that's because he's too. Oh my God, this is becoming the NBA. We need to load manage him.
Well, and that's so anti-hockey, that mentality too. And it's not like, let's face it, it's not like Hellebuck's old by any means.
No.
He's 30, you know, but he is starting to get up there. He is 32.
Sure.
Shoot, happy birthday. His birthday was yesterday.
Oh, no way.
So happy birthday, Connor Hellebuck. I know obviously you wish you'd be playing, but
Right.
Happy birthday, Connor Hellebuck. He just turned 32. So obviously this upcoming season is going to be his age 32 season. So he's not old, but it's not that's not inappropriate. That might be something. We'll have to dive into that a little bit as we get more into off season and then preseason mode for next year. All right. Well, let's move on for now, though, before we lose all our time here on
Sure.
one team.
Just one more thought on Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So, well, here we've already done a basketball analogy, we've done a football analogy. Why not a baseball analogy? So they call things, you know, a low scoring game in baseball. They call it a pitcher's duel. In hockey, do they call it a goalie duel?
You know, I don't know what the vernacular is for that. I don't think so. That doesn't sound. I've never heard that phrase, but low scoring is just for me what it is.
Shower thoughts, you know.
Yeah, shower thoughts. Yeah, exactly. All right.
Go ahead.
Now let's transition over to the Washington Capitals, the number one team in the East. Get knocked out and really got flattened in the second round. Got knocked out in 5 by the Carolina Hurricanes, and it wasn't really. First game went to overtime. Washington won the second game, and then after that, it was kind of good night nurse. 4-0 Carolina in game 3, 5-2 in game 4, 3-1 in game 5. Carolina dictated this series. So what do you do for the Washington Capitals? Ovechkin has said he is coming back, that he is not done. He immediately joked that he was going to go play for Hershey, for Washington's American Hockey League affiliate, and go help them win the AHL. And it was great on Twitter because I don't remember who Hershey is playing in their current round, but they were he can't do that, right? He's joking, right? Please tell us he's joking.
As they're about to wet themselves.
Right, exactly. No. What do you do? What do you do if you're the Washington Capitals, though? What do you do here?
Oh man, I think you got to do a deep dive and look deep inside and do some discernment. And just like Winnipeg, what was the difference between what made you so good in the regular season versus, you know, what happened in the postseason? You know, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's, you know, matchups, or what do we say? Styles make the matchup.
Styles make fights. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a styles make the fight thing, and Carolina just had their number and were able to figure out what their kryptonite was. I don't know, but definitely gotta dig deep on that one.
Yeah. For me, it's very simple for the Capitals. For me, I am going to this offseason under the assumption that this will be Ovechkin's last season. This will be his 21st season in the NHL. I am begging, I am borrowing, I am stealing. I don't care what it costs. I am getting whatever I need. If I am the Capitals general manager, I am getting whatever I need. I'm going to the owner and I'm saying, look, this is our last chance to get one more cup with Ovechkin.
Yep.
Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, you go out and you get it. You want a new goalie, you go get a new goalie. You need a fourth line center, you go get a fourth line center. You need to get more active defensemen, you go get every active defenseman that you can possibly get your hands on. I don't care how many draft picks it costs. I don't care how much money it takes. I go all in on the 25-26 season because I got to believe that this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. Yeah. Exactly. Do whatever it takes to get the good, complimentary for him. Wingers, goalies, defensemen, doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care what it is. I'm going out and I am getting it. And that is my mission for this offseason is there are no seasons past this season. Is it going to cost us? Absolutely. But we'll worry about that later. For right now, we are getting a cup. We are getting one more cup with Ovechkin because this is our last chance.
Yep, definitely.
All right, let's go back to the West for a second. Vegas, the Golden Knights. They're still the darling Golden Boys of the NHL. They are still the gold standard for an expansion franchise, even though they're starting to move past that a little bit. Edmonton kind of had its way with Vegas in this second round. This was a weird series. This was home ice be damned in this series. The road team won the first 3 games.
Wow.
Out of this series. Vegas won, one game, and it was a game where it took the lead with 0.4 of a second left.
Right.
I
do remember that.
It was bound for over. Everybody in the world was, this game is going to overtime, and then a terrible, horrible turnover in their defensive end forced Skinner to play like 8 feet out of his crease.
Oh my God.
And the puck got past him and slid over the line 0.4 of a second left. But Edmonton overall takes the series in 5. There were a couple of overtime games. There were the final game did go to overtime. Edmonton winning 1-0. How often do we see Edmonton winning a game 1-0?
Like never.
After giving up that goal with 0.4 of a second, Skinner didn't give up a goal for the rest of the series.
What?
I know, right? So you're Vegas. You won the Pacific. You won the Pacific pretty comfortably too. I mean, it's not, there was at one point there was talk that Vegas could very much win the President's Trophy. They were in that running. They were in that field. 50, 22, and 10 overall, 110 points. What do you do if you're Vegas? What do you have to do this offseason to get yourself over the hump?
Throw a couple games so you don't win your division next year.
Oh, well, okay. We're going all out here.
Right.
Boy, there's an interesting step 1. Don't win the Pacific. Okay. Right. All right.
Which is the antithesis of every team anywhere's first goal. Oh, win your division, win your conference, win your whatever.
No, we refuse.
Yeah. To be honest, I really don't have much on this one. They always got done so late.
I know. The West Coast and not even dropping the puck until 10:30 our time most nights.
Well, there's
Ugh.
one. Wasn't there one? I think it was might have been the Minnesota series, but wasn't one of them 11:30? I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yes. Oh, yeah. They had an 11 o'clock Eastern time puck drop, and it was, you're effing kidding me. What? No,
Here-
just no. I'm not
Okay.
doing this. I'm not doing this.
Do
I
it
am
with
not
me.
doing this.
Do it with me. Old men shaking their fists at the sky.
Exactly. If it was just 15 years ago, okay, I would be miserable the next day, but I'd do it. Anymore? No, I'm sorry. I'm done with that. I can't do this anymore.
I may have started the game, but yeah, likely fell asleep.
Yeah, it's like, okay, 10 minutes in, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And the problem is once you start it, like, oh, I gotta watch it, I gotta watch it, I gotta watch it. Oh crap, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh God, no.
I gotta work in the morning.
Now I gotta get up in 4 hours. Ugh.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
do this.
Well, okay, so Jack Eichel, Aiden Hill, is Marchessault still there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. They got the coach has a good pedigree. I think he was with the Bruins, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he got some good basics right there, some good building blocks, if nothing else. Yeah, I don't know where to go with this one. Your thoughts?
Honestly, with Vegas, just run it back. They've got a really solid team, a really solid core. Makes it some fine tuning along the edges. Just some pieces here, a little bit of depth, maybe some defensive help. Just a little bit of fine tuning, tweaking here and there. You don't need to make wholesale changes if you're Vegas. Keep doing what you're doing. It's been working. Just make some very subtle adjustments. You don't need to go crazy. Unlike the last team that we have to talk about, this one is going to be hard. This one, oh man.
When I saw that Vegas was next, I was like, "Yep, that's why he's saving it for last." Yep.
Yeah, gotta save the big one for last. The Maple Leafs.
Wah, wah.
They've managed to figure out how to get to the second round. They've got to figure out, first of all, how to score in game. I saw, obviously the Maple Leafs lose in a game 7 and everything just comes pelting out at you all at once. What was it in like their last 10 game 7s? You know how many goals they have scored combined in those 10 game 7s?
3.
10.
Oh my gosh, 1
They
per
have
game.
scored 1 goal in each game. They haven't been shut out, but they've scored once in each of those game 7s.
What's the coach in Letterkenny always say? Oh, this is flipping embarrassing.
Exactly. They did. I mean, they did get a second meaningless goal in game 7 of this one. What did the final wound up being? What, 6-2?
Yeah, when it's already out of hand.
Oh no, it was 6-1. I'm sorry, it was Florida that got the extra one late. I hit a point where I was okay. I am watching, but this thing is over. I am preparing my notes, and I was, oh hey, look, another goal scored. What do you know?
Well, the headline of the article about the game said it best, that Florida throttles Toronto.
Oh, it was. Toronto had a stretch in the first period where they were in it. Otherwise, that was 50 minutes of Florida toying with Toronto. That was just
cat and mouse, huh?
It was. Toronto was dead. Toronto had nothing. And you knew it after 2. You knew that game was over and done after 2 periods at Toronto. And at that point, it was only 2-0. But you knew this game, it was 3-0. But you knew this thing is over. This thing is so over and done. So
that's
what
about
do you
right.
do if
Go ahead, sorry.
So what do you do if you're Toronto? What do you do? What do you do?
That's about where I checked the score on it, and it was 3-0 Florida. And yeah, I was like, okay, yep, it's probably over at this point. Oh
Man, what do you do? I mean, again, you got a good core. They just got the guy from St. Louis last year, the one that won the cup with them, Craig Berube as their coach. So it's only year one. I mean, unless you're going to pull a Seattle and fire the dude in year one, but he got you to the playoffs. So I don't think you're really allowed to do that or be frowned upon anyways. We talked about Washington having to do some soul searching, trying to figure out what happened. Like, why was the regular season so good, so high, and then why they made an early exit in the playoffs. Kind of the similar for Toronto. I mean, they really got to do some soul searching, and I think maybe it's something psychologically because it's just they've always struggled to get out of the first round, and now that they got that monkey off the back, the next monkey's there, and it's called the second round.
Yeah. I am coming at it from a slightly different perspective at this point. The Maple Leafs, I am ready. If I'm the Maple Leafs, I think it is time to tear this thing down.
Ooh.
You've got Mitch Marner is going to be an unrestricted free agent. John Tavares is about to be an unrestricted free agent. You've got I'm pulling up the full list here so that I make sure that I get it right. Nicholas Robertson is going to be a restricted free agent. Another one of the huge pieces. Matthew Knies is a restricted free agent. Stephen Lawrence, Max Pacioretty. You've got a lot of guys that are coming out of contract one way or the other on this team. I know that Austin Matthews has said he wants to be back. He is going to be back. He was actually dealing with an injury basically all season. He let that be known in the presser today, and that slowed and that finally caught up with him in the second round a little bit. Honestly, if I'm Toronto, I think you got to just tear it down. I think you tear it down. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. It's going to be really hard. And some of it is being in Toronto. The pressure in Toronto it's a pressure cooker there in Toronto. It's hard. You fall behind and it's immediately everything is wrong.
Yeah.
But to me, this is tear it down. Try to get. They don't have a first round pick. Their first round pick in this draft goes to Chicago. So they've got to. They're going to be losing people in free agency. They're not going to be able to keep everybody. They're low on draft capital. I think you got to do some teardown. I think you've got to do some serious teardown, and you got to try and rebuild. I don't know if you go so far as to get rid of Austin Matthews. That's what is his contract situation? This would have been a smart thing to look up before the show, right, Adam? Absolutely. You know, yeah. Nothing like doing the producing during the show. He signed a 4-year deal in 2023. So that would get him through. As I'm going over to Spot Rack right now. So he's signed through the end of 27. So he's signed through the 26-27 deal. So he's got 2 years left on his contract. His cap hit for this coming year. It's 13 and a quarter. That's not small, but at the same time, NHL caps are going up. For the first time in a long time, we're seeing the cap move in an upward direction. His cap hit is what for this upcoming season? It's under 15% of the league cap, and it'll be under 13% in 26-27. So, he's signed through. He will become a free agent in 2028. So he's signed through the end of the 27-28 season.
Okay.
So he's got 3 years left on his deal. So I don't know if you go that far, but to me, Toronto, you've got to tear this down somewhat. I don't know if you do a full on fire everything, abort, or if you just try to get some fresh pieces, but keep Austin Matthews and a few other select pieces and try to do a soft rebuild. But that's where I'm at with Toronto.
Well, you say you got the 3-year window, so I mean, okay, yeah, maybe get rid of some of the other pieces, but maybe this would be the time to do like Washington's saying, if we're going to take the other perspective, like you said about Washington, like, okay, guys, you got a 3-year window. Here's your chance. Get it done.
Yeah. And there is that. There is that, but you got a lot of really good pieces that are coming out of contract that you're going to lose. That's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be a lot to try and replace.
Keep together.
If you're trying to do try and keep together or replace or whatever it is you're looking at. It's gonna be tough. Yeah, I've got the full list here. Tavares, Marner, Pacioretty, Hakanapa are all unrestricted, and Matthew Murray are all unrestricted free agents. Some serious players there. And then Matthew Knies, that's a massive one, restricted free agent, and also the Nicholas Robertson. Some other guys lower on down the list as well. Williams' brother Alexander is an unrestricted free agent as well on the list. Some other guys like that, but
sure.
Yeah, Tavares, Marner, Pacioretty, Hakanapa, Knies, Robertson, those are some huge pieces that you're going to have to try and figure out a way to replace if you want to remain competitive.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Either it can be hard to keep it together or hard to replace them, like you said.
Yep. So gotta be tough. Gotta be tough in Toronto. All right. Let's take for ourselves one last quick break, and then we got a championship series that is going on, and it is wrapped. Let's check in on the PWHL and the Walter Cup final next here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach, we will be right back after this.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. Here on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene. Here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back with you here just for a few more minutes before we wrap things up. We've got the Walter Cup final also has begun tonight. And in fact, game one has wrapped between Minnesota and Ottawa. The Frost and the Charge, they needed overtime. Ottawa takes game one in overtime 2-1. I'm getting it pulled up right now. I'm getting it pulled up right now, so I make sure that I have all the right stats here. Emily Clark, her second goal of the postseason, is the game winner. The Ottawa Charge take game one 2-1. Emily Clark and Rebecca Leslie, the two goal scorers for Ottawa. Klara Himilarova, the lone goal scorer for the Minnesota Frost. So we've got Minnesota going for back-to-back championships. The first two championships for the PWHL, or we've got the Ottawa Charge, their first time in the finals, and also a chance for a Canadian team to win something other than a national team's championship, a gold medal. This is a chance to win a cup in Canada. Who do you like? How do you see the Walter Cup finals going down this year, Zach?
I think Minnesota's going to repeat. And what is it? 5-game series?
Yep, best of 5. Best of 5.
So I'm going to go Minnesota in 5.
You think it's going to take all 5? Okay. I like that. I was doing some reading and going through and just reviewing my notes and things. The goalie situation in Minnesota is really kind of unique. They don't really have a goalie that they kind of can just put your hands on and say, "Oh, this is our goalie. This is the person that's going to take us through a series and a season and a series." They've been back and forth on both, but it has worked for them. Meanwhile, for Ottawa, their goalie has come on so strong here in the playoffs. Gwyneth Phillips has just been a superstar stud for them late in the regular season and then in the semifinals as well. But I also like Minnesota in this series, and I actually think Minnesota is going to win it in 4. I was mapping it out before doing the show tonight. I was like, okay, Ottawa has the home ice, so this game was in Ottawa. I think Ottawa takes game 1. I think the home ice crowd and the excitement, the juice, and all that. Ottawa takes game 1, but then I see Minnesota taking the next 3. That Minnesota takes game 2, does the reverse sweep. The delayed sweep, if you will, the drop game 1, but then take games 2 through 4. I think for both teams, if you're Ottawa, you've got to figure out how to make your power play work. Their power play has been abysmal. One goal in the semifinal round on the power play. It came in game 1, and that was it. Minnesota, meanwhile, their power play for the Frost, their power play has been dynamite. So if you're Ottawa, you've got to absolutely stay out of the box. You've got to play a clean game. Their penalty kill has been good. Minnesota's penalty kill hasn't been so great. So you do have kind of if Minnesota commits a penalty, hey, your defensive unit hasn't been great, but also Ottawa hasn't been able to score. But I kind of feel like that's what it could come down to. If this is a clean series, if there's not a lot of penalties, then that is distinct advantage Ottawa. If there's a lot of penalties and there's a lot of if special teams plays a hand and plays a role in this series, then I think Minnesota takes it. I like Minnesota. I like Minnesota in 4.
Two thoughts. So the way you were talking about, the possibility of a different Canadian team bringing home a title as opposed to the national team, I thought that's the way you were going to go with this one. And then I think they call it a gentleman's sweep, where it's like 4 games to 1 or 3 games to 1 or whatever.
Sometimes the reverse sweep, delayed sweep, gentleman's sweep. It all involves brooms.
Right.
Which broom do you get out?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be, and I also am a fan of all 5, so we can get more hockey that way. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, hey, there you go. Yeah. Game 2 is we'll pull up the full schedule here. Game 2 is Thursday night, 7:00 Eastern. All the games are available on the PWHL's YouTube channel, so it's very easy to watch. I like to sit down and watch them with my daughter. She puts on her Frost threads and wears those. So we'll try to sit down and make it a point to watch Game 2 on Thursday night. Game 2 is Thursday. The rest of the series, we'll pull it up. We'll pull it up here. The full schedule for the finals. So Game 1, obviously, that was tonight. Game 2 is Thursday night in Ottawa, 7:00 Eastern time. Then Game 3 will be Saturday afternoon in Minnesota. It'll be at 5:00 Eastern time. So an early evening puck drop on Saturday. Game 4, if needed in Minnesota, will be Monday night at 5:00 Eastern time, and then Game 5, if needed, is next week, Wednesday night from Ottawa at 7:00 Eastern time.
So basically, they're going on every other night schedule. And how's the home and away structured? Is it 2 and 2 and 1, or is
2-2-1? Yeah, 2-2-1.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, 1 and 2 are in Ottawa, 3 and 4 in Minnesota, and then Game 5, should it be needed, would be back in Ottawa.
Okay, gotcha. I had another thought, but I forgot it.
Oh, well, we'll save it for next week. That's what we'll find it, and we'll save it for next week. It came back to you. It came back to you. What was it? What was that thought?
You said she was going to wear her Minnesota Frost threads. I was expecting you to say she was going to wear her goalie mask the whole time. Yeah. The hockey helmet will come on. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
That's good parenting.
Yes. Thank you. That does it for our show this evening. Thank you to each and every one of our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket, Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. They are still offering free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Thank you also to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. When you go to vitalapparel.com and place your order, use the promo code IESR at checkout. You get 15% off of your order. Thank you also to Seal the Deal Wax Seals. You're still putting stuff out in the mail, graduation cards, confirmation cards, I'm still alive cards, whatever it is. You get that personal stamp and seal that everybody knows when they see it that it came from you. It jumps out and they don't just throw it in the recycling bin. Go to iesportsradio.com/SealTheDealWaxSeals. Cecilia will help you design your personal very own crest that you can use on that. And of course, thank you to IE Sports Radio for providing the platform for this show. Be sure to follow on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a comment. Let us know that you subscribed because of the Neutral Zone. That makes us feel better. We like to know what shows people are tuning in for. Thank you also to Larry B., the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio. Appreciate all your hard work behind the scenes, sir. Thank you to everybody that was watching the show live tonight across YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And thank you to everybody that was listening on later on in the week as a podcast. This is the crazy thing we do every Tuesday night. We talk a little hockey, we talk a little life, all kinds of fun things. We try to make it as accessible as possible. For IE Sports Radio in the Neutral Zone, he is Zach Pumplis. I am Adam Karnick. Together we are the Neutral Zone. We will see everybody same time next week. 9 o'clock Eastern Time Tuesday night. Until then, stay out of the boards, go get in the penalty box. We'll see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.